Hey guys, Caesar here. About a decade ago, the missional movement promised to transform the church and make loads of new disciples. It was supposed to break down barriers in our culture, stopping the decline of church attendance nationwide. So, who broke the missional movement? Unfortunately, the answer may be closer than we think. Not too many years ago, while employed on staff at a large contemporary church of thousands of people, I had a stark reality check sort of dropped on me. I realized I had zero non-Christian friends. In fact, I hardly even knew my neighbors. I was just too darn busy pulling off all the programs that went on throughout the week after week after week at the church building. Now, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. If I and a handful of other pastors and leaders in the church are supposed to be role models for the rest of our people, showing them how to live and make disciples as Jesus did, shouldn't us pastors have loads of not yet believing friends? And I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm talking about relationships, like friends. Shouldn't we be rock star disciple makers, living the same way that Jesus and his disciples did? And now, years later, I've discovered that despite all of the hype and all of the cool factor connected to this hoped-for movement, most pastors and leaders I know still have barely embraced a lifestyle of discipleship and mission. Well, why is that? Here are 7 roadblocks that I see and hear a lot. First roadblock, time. I hear this. Well, I'm afraid of this, this is a big commitment to being and making disciples in community. Yep. Second roadblock I see. People say, it's my family. What if my own family won't go along with this? I sort of go and do my thing and they're doing theirs. Third roadblock, getting started, starting. If I start and fail, I'll look bad to my people. If it ain't broke. Fourth roadblock, gospel fluency. I hear, well, truth be told, I've never been discipled in a way that the gospel was applied and allowed to transform every area of my life. I've learned, a pretty high degree of biblical literacy, but I have pretty low gospel fluency. The fifth roadblock that I see in here is reproduction. People say to me, well, I don't have a reproducible way that make disciples and live out the life that Jesus did. Sixth roadblock is the money issue. Well, people say, well, if I were to somehow pull this off and our people were to actually embrace life in a vibrant missional community, they might stop coming to church on Sundays. Then how would we collect their money and pay the bills around here? And the seventh roadblock is comfort. Last of all, but maybe hardest to admit, I hear, well, I really prefer my faith and ministry and Christian vocation just the way it is, thank you very much. It fits. I've worked it out. My time, my ministry, my family, my hobbies, everything in its place. This all starts with your family. You will never lead others further or disciple them any better than you live this out in your own household. I know this can be challenging for us to get our heads and our hearts around, because for many of us, we've built our Christian lives and ministries around a Sunday church service or a midweek small group time and an occasional serving project maybe. But here's the thing. If we treat discipleship and mission like a weekly meeting or events on a schedule, that's all it'll be. And unfortunately, your relationship with God will mirror what you live and practice, and so will your churches. Life with God will be nothing more than a scheduled event a few times a week. Dallas Willard has said that every church, and then therefore every church leader, should be able to answer 2 important questions. First, what is our plan for making disciples? And second, does our plan work? Most pastors and churches I know would say they have a plan, usually in the form of like a series of classes. But my good friend Mike Breen says, if we're creating disciples who are far from the people we see in Scripture, as the rule and not the exception, we must ask ourselves why this is the case and how we can change that reality. Here are a few questions I suggest that leaders ask themselves when they're trying to sort this out. First, have I been discipled, truly apprenticed in the gospel in all of life? Second, am I living a life worth imitating? Not just my spirituality, but all of life? Third question to ask yourself, would young followers of Jesus be able to model their lives after mine and know how to make disciples if they hung out with me? And fourth, Do I have a plan and method for making disciples that works and it's reproducing itself to the third and fourth generations and beyond? I want to encourage you, get the training and help you need. Admit that you don't have it all figured out yet. No more excuses. Your family, your church, your friends are waiting. So, is the missional movement broken? Nope, no one's broke it. Do we as leaders need to take a long look in the mirror and start asking these hard questions? I think so. And the next best time to get started is now. Let me ask you to do a few things before you go. Share this with a friend or colleague right now. Make a difference. And then leave me any questions you have in the comments below. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel before you head out. And as always, thanks for watching.